Hello and welcome to my review of Saw 5, released in 2008. It is, of course, the fifth installment in the franchise, the first installment since Saw 2 to not be directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, because he directed 2, 3, and 4. This is the first film and the directorial debut of the production designer, I believe, David Hackle, who was going to direct Saw 3D, Final Chapter, whatever it was going to be called, that film, the last one, but was pushed out due to some stuff that we will talk about in Saw 3D. It's easier to talk about it in Saw 3D than at any other point in time. But it's just a mention of that fact. And that is obviously Saw 5 is definitely a change in motion for the series. Particularly that obviously it says goodbye to, Bousman had been with the series for 3 years at this point, But yeah, Saw 5 is one for me. It will be the weakest for me. But that's purely because not the story actually is quite engaging in moments, but I seem to get the story of this one confused with Saw 6 before sitting down and actually watching it. So I feel like here there are some story parts that I enjoy in Saw 5, but again I just think it has a weaker story, and the traps are far from the best. The standout trap here for me, even though it's an unwinnable trap, for me my favourite trap of this movie is the pendulum trap at the beginning. I think the Strom's water cage trap is just boring. I do like the glass coffin trap is quite cool though, but it's very gruesome. So yeah, but other than that, the collar trap from the first part of the Fatal 5, I don't like that trap. It's just, again, I like one thing I do have to point out that I do like about the Fatal 5 is its concept and what Jigsaw actually said and what it means, and that obviously by the end we find out that they managed to piece it together, that when Jigsaw says 5 will become 1, he means they will all work together, because everything can be done with 5 people if they just paid attention, but they took their own greed to try and save themselves instead of working together to save each other. Because obviously, as they find out, spoilers by the way, spoilers for this film, at the end they found out that all the keys from the collar trap would all work. All they had to do was pass one to each other. All they had to do was one person would still grab one key, then pass it across to each other, and they all would have gone free. In the second trap, which is the smashing the things to find a key, it's clear that the pipes would have hit more than one person in it. In the bathtub trap, you're supposed to each person is supposed to take a small voltage instead of everyone taking one. Each person is supposed to take a small amount of voltage, opposed to one person taking all and killing them. And obviously in the blood beaker trap, I'm going to call it. It has a better name, but I can't remember it. In the blood sacrifice. In the blood sacrifice trap, obviously there's 5 armholes, so each people could lose like a single. Each person would lose a single pint, and everyone would be able to. So the whole idea was that all 5 people would lose a single pint and be able to walk out, or because it needed 10 pints. It needed But yeah, so something like that. And the idea was that they were all supposed to do it, but they didn't, and basically they put. I'm pretty sure they all died. I don't actually know, but yeah. Again, Saw 5 is just one where the traps are weak. Certain story elements are weak as well. I do like Strom going off and investigating on himself. That's enjoyable. I do like the backstory given between Hoffman and John Kramer, and I do like the setbacks. The whole that story is quite fun, but other than that, it's not. It's really definitely the weakest. A lot of people think that Final Chapter is the weakest and the worst, but for me, I actually think Final Chapter is probably second from albeit I actually generally might think that Final Chapter is better than Saw 3. I don't actually know. I have to think about it more in depth, but for me, it's Saw Final Chapter, Saw 3D, Saw 7. I'm going to call it Saw 7 because as CZ's World rightly pointed out, there's no point in calling it Saw 3D anymore because you can barely watch the film in 3D, and it's not the final chapter, so you might as well just call it Saw 7. So I'm going to call it Saw 7 for now on. But yeah, I think 5 is better. I think 7 is better than 5 purely because the ending is so much better for Saw for the final chapter. and the twist at the end of Sword of Final Chapter was so much better. I mean, there isn't actually a twist at the end of this movie. It's just that Strom should have gotten in the glass coffin and trusted Hoffman, but he didn't. So therefore, that resulted in the death of Special Agent Strom. So yeah. And also, if you don't know that, obviously, when you see, obviously, if you're wondering why they're still talking about events that transpired in 3, if you're still wondering why they talk about events that took place in Saw 3 and Saw 5, it's purely because the events of Saw 3 and Saw 4, or at least parts of it, like when I say the events of Saw 3 and 4, I mean the main trap plot of Saw 3 and the main trap plot of Saw 4. Obviously, which for Saw 3, it's Jeff / Amanda / Lynn's trial, and then obviously for Saw 4, it's Rick's trial. Those two events, those two trap plots are taking place at the same time in the same building, which we obviously shown in Saw 4 as Strom being there just as Jeff kills John Kramer, and then Strom goes in the room, kills Jeff. So then you have a room that has the body of John Kramer, the body of Amanda Young, the body of Slice Motherfucking Jeff from Dead Meat. That's my guy. Body of Jeff and the body of Lynn Denlon, which arguably may have more bodies in the shithole. But yeah, so the events of those two films pretty much take place. We don't actually know officially when the autopsy takes place, but we can only assume that it takes place I mean, at the beginning of this movie, technically, but I suppose, again, like we do know that the autopsy doesn't take place at the beginning of the film as it does in chronological order. It's confusing. But yeah, again, as I mentioned, it's really the weakest installment in the entire franchise, if you ask me personally. I just feel like it's not the most memorable. Like I said, I've explained my reasons why I prefer 7 to this film. I just think it doesn't give, the traps. And now, I just want to make this very clear. I don't think that this is bad because of David Hackle. I think he did a brilliant job directing, and I think the direction and some of the way it's shot is brilliant. And it's definitely not. I don't think the weakness of this film is down to anyone particularly trying to make it bad. I just think it just doesn't flow quite right. Obviously, everyone making these movies care immensely about the plot and everything and stuff like that. And I don't hate anyone for making this movie. It's weak, but it doesn't mean it's a bad movie. I still enjoy watching it as it's a Saw movie, and it's fun with all these characters, especially Hoffman, we've been following for a while, and Strom. And there's some entertaining deaths here and there, but it's just not. It's just not as enjoyable as other ones, I suppose. I do like the backstory of Hoffman here, like I said, and that. But oh fucking hell, that's blind. But yeah, like I said, it's just not as intriguing as any of the other ones. Like, it's just boring traps, quite a weak story. It just makes it the weakest in this series, in my opinion. And while Saw 3D's story is not exactly the best, it's definitely more enjoyable than the story in this one. And I feel like, although we do get to see other viewpoints of some traps, like the barbed wire trap from the first movie, we also see also behind the scenes moments of the nerve gas house from Saw 2, and it's good to see. We also see a moment from Saw 3 as well, so it's good to see those Hoffman in those moments, and it's fun, and it's just quite cool to see those moments, go down on screen. But yeah, again, Saw 5, there's not much more I can say other than what I've already said, so I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it here. It's maybe 10 or so minutes on. I don't know. It's just not. Like I said, it's not the best. So, but yeah, that's obviously in my Saw 5 review. Just stay tuned tomorrow for Saw 6. What I personally think is one of the best installments in the franchise. I think for me, it's going to be really, really high up there, and I mean probably third best film in the franchise. I'm not even kidding. May even be second. And I do think that after Spiral, my prediction for Spiral is Spiral's gonna, take that second place spot of whatever film will be there. And I can't wait to see Spiral once again. As it's May 17th, 2021, I'm recording this. Spiral from the Book of Saw is now out now in the UK cinemas, excluding Odeon, because they're being a bunch of pussies and asking for more money. So if you live in the UK and you want to see Spider from the Book of Saw, you'll have to go to your local Cineworld or View Cinema, or any cinema chain that's not Odeon, because I'm 90% sure all the independent cinemas are also showing it as well. But Odeon is not showing Spider from the Book of Saw. But yeah, it's now out in the UK. It's been out in America for a couple of days. The official score drops this Friday. So stay tuned for if you this I should have mentioned this one in the last review, but the music you've been hearing, I think is probably this one, because Let Go, I think, or a version is on this Saw anthology. But I do want to just give a brief shout out to Saw Soundtracks, who, if there's a piece of music ever played in the Saw movie, it's on his channel. He's uploaded full scores for every single movie from 1 through Jigsaw, and he's going to be doing his full score for Spiral when that shit drops. Big up to him, because without his channel and stuff, there won't be, the ability to play the set musics in the background from each film. And yes, if you are wondering why they all sound similar, they're all based on the same piece of music, but each one you hear is actually a different one composed for each specific film. I'm not just using the same track every single time. You hear it, because Zep 6 and Zep 8 are quite different. And in the Saw 7 review, I'm going to use the track called Dr. Gordon Montage, which is longer than the final Zep, and also just it's a better track. And I want to change that, obviously, because in Saw 3 I use Baptism, a better track that I talked about briefly. But yeah, I didn't actually mention score wise here again. Saw 4, Saw 5 again, Charlie Klaus music, brilliant. But if you are interested in the Saw music, click on my link tree and go to my Spotify playlist. I have compiled all the tracks. Obviously, in 2017 they released, alongside the Jigsaw soundtrack, they released Saw Anthology Volumes 1 and 2, which contains music from all 7 films, highlights from at least all 7 films, and I put on Spotify, obviously Saw 3D and Jigsaw have full soundtracks released, but I also made highlight playlists. I put every single track from each film that's like individual film wise, like on my profile. There's Saw original score, Saw original score, all the tracks from each film I put in separate playlists for each film, including the highlights from Jigsaw and Saw 3D. If you just want brief highlights of the music and that, just go check that shit out. I also want to just mention a few projects I've just done recently. Obviously, today, about half an hour before this video goes up, I don't actually know, but today I did finally, I did put it on my Discord server if you want to join that. Again, that's in the link tree, but I did mention on my Discord server that I have finally managed to get the Alton Towers story, the story of Alton Towers DVD burned off of the disc and onto. I managed to find a way to do it, but unfortunately for me, someone uploaded it a month ago before I had a chance to, so it was going to be some exclusive content you can only find on my channel. But I can say I was the first person to put any footage of it on YouTube, because I did do a video over a year ago. Over the first 10 minutes I managed to get off, so I am the first person to put any footage of that movie on YouTube, but I'm not the first person to put the full documentary, at least the 2005 version. I will be trying to rip the 2008 version tomorrow, if I have time, that is, but I don't actually know. But yeah, that's another thing I've done. And also on my second channel, Greenflower the Second, I did my first gaming video, a Grand Theft Auto 3 Let's Play video. Please do check that out. I really appreciate it, because it took me a while to set things up. I appreciate it if the volume's a bit lower, but I do appreciate a watch on that one, because it took me a while to set it up, and I want to see if people enjoy that kind of content on that channel, because then that channel can stop just being trailer uploads and soundtrack reviews, and we can have a third sort of thing that I enjoy, because not only do I obviously enjoy theme parks and theme park music and also movies, movie trailers, but I also enjoy video games, and there isn't much video game content on either of my channels. There was some before, obviously Greenflower Second used to be Nintendo, so, but I haven't done video game content in quite a while, so it'd be nice to bring it back, and I want to see if people like it. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to check out all those things, the Alton Towers story, the story of Alton Towers documentary, and the GTA 3 Let's Play video. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and have a wonderful day, and bye bye for now.